This regular board meeting will be recorded and uploaded to our district website. The definitive documentation and decisions of the board are shown in the meeting minutes. Any use of an electronic device such as a computer or a cell phone is related to the business of the meeting. Core values that guide our work are respect, compassion, honesty, responsibility, and relationships. So we have called the meeting to order, and I'd like to acknowledge that today's board meeting is being held within the traditional territory of the Denegat and Treaty 8. I please have a mover and a seconder for the agenda. Moved by Bill, seconded by David. Are there any additions to the agenda? Calling the question then, all in favor?
In favor.
Our two that are joining us via Zoom have indicated that they're in favor. Great. Presentation and delegations, we don't have any tonight. We will move forward with trustee engagement and celebration. And we'll start with Trustee Campbell, Area 4.
Yes, I've been to PAC meetings, my 3 schools, and Beldonald PAC. Beldonald School is going to be hosting Treasure Island play on May 8th at 6 o'clock at the Culture Center, and everybody is invited to attend, and it's by donation at the door. And they also are having a garage sale at their gymnasium on April 27th. And then I also went to the Equity Scan meeting last week and did a data walk, which was quite well done. And then I went to Vancouver and attended the AGM.
All right. Thank you very much, Trustee Campbell. Trustee Gillis.
I volunteered with the PAC and Hudson's Hope for a canteen that they held for a movie night. Wednesday, we are having our speech competition out in Hudson's Hope, which I am helping the kids perform. We have 3 judges coming to do that, so that's exciting. And then on May 22nd, 3 of the students will attend the district-wide speech competition. And on the weekend, I went to Vancouver and attended the AGM. That's about it.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Lehman sends her regrets. Trustee Scott Moncrief.
I have been in contact with Presswood 2 many times over the last few weeks, and I will be out at their PAC meeting on the May 1st. Upper Pine School, I was out there last week. Had chats with both Buick 101 and Halfway. I got to get up there soon.
Thank you. Trustee Snow.
All right, so just past weekend in Vancouver AGM, I attended a SUPAC meeting. I am a member of the Northern Star Group, Recruiting and Retention, and we had a meeting for that. Inclusion committee meeting that I'm a member of. We had 1 online and 1 in person. MPA meeting. I attended that. Beldonald Market. Been to Ambrose, Kearney, North Peace, and ELC, and had sit-down chats with them. And went out to Rumble Industries with Louis Vaquero and seen some kids in action working with a program they're out with there. It was really amazing all around.
Trustee Whitten.
I was at the most recent Central School PAC meeting, just kind of getting filled in on what they are up to. I was at the trade show the past weekend, that's week before. Great turnout out there. In May, I will be doing the speech contest at Central School as well. Yeah, the trustees. Yeah.
Thank you. My happiness is I've started to do some Ready Set Learns, so I've been in I'm going to do ready set learns at Finch, Montgomery, and O'Donnell in putting preschools, which is joyful for me. District Health and Safety Committee meeting, labor management meeting. Had been continuing to do work for rural and remote network for the BCSBA, and was at the same North Star meeting that Bill was at. So more to come on that. And yeah, just busy, but haven't been away too, and so my timing to get to PAC meetings has not been great, but I had talked to school. Great. So item number 5 on our agenda will be interesting. One of the things we know is that when we do our assignment of board positions in November, we do an election for a BCPC rep and a BCPC alternate. Neither of which the individuals cannot be deemed to be in conflict as per BCPC guidelines. And Trustee Whitten has been our BCPC alternate, but now finds himself in conflict because of relative working for one of the organizations covered by BCPC. I believe, Nicole, we decided that you're in that position as well with your daughter.
Yeah, so my daughter is employed by BCGEU. So I don't know if the local governments maybe bargain municipally and not provincially, and that makes a difference. I don't know, but I do know that is her union.
Yeah. No, BCGEU is covered.
Can I just speak to her really quickly?
Yeah.
My mom is moving up to the north. She's finally bitten the bullet and coming and joining us, but that means she's working over at the hospital now. So that takes me off the slate.
So that
of
takes you
BCPC.
off. So that puts us in a position where Madeline Lehman, who is our current rep, is not in conflict. And I have spoken with David, who is the only other trustee who is not in conflict, and he is willing to stand as our BCPC rep. So I don't think we need to do an election.
Oh, come on.
Can we clap?
Thank you.
Oh, my God.
Obviously, at AGM, the conflict rules for BCPC are causing a concern province-wide. So it's not just us, but thank you very much, David, for taking that on. We appreciate it, stepping in to do that. So,
I
yeah.
was gonna say, for you guys that weren't there, that was one of the most, out of all the motions, that was one of the most heated topics, for sure.
It seems like an interesting, with smaller communities, like there is a lot of government union families out there. And if you disinclude extended family, like mothers, children, I mean, children aren't extended families, but mothers, aunts, uncles, things like that.
Grown, independent adult children.
100%.
They're starting to just make estimates, but they're throwing out estimated numbers. Did it break 1 million? Or was it like 800,000 or something, or like people in BC kind of thing?
And it sounded like, we're getting off topic, it sounded like Merritt in their latest encounter with a judge had said this is too far reaching, and you actually had the judicial step in. And it appears like everybody for conflict that goes to deal with it gets a different version of how to deal with it. So more to come. Moving on, so we don't get off topic, which we just did. We're looking at the minutes of the regular board meeting of March the 11th, which is pages 6 to 12 in your package.
Oh, that was the one that was changed, right? Yeah, it was changed to a Tuesday from like a Saturday. Yeah, no, I'll be out of doing.
Can I please get a mover and a seconder for those minutes? Moved by Bill, seconded by David. Are there any errors or omissions? Calling the question then, all in favor?
In favor?
Thank you. Have we lost Nicole?
She's, just has her screen off, she's still there.
Okay.
She turns off her camera, then she doesn't show up.
Okay. All right. Business arising from the minutes. I think that all the action items, that one's done. Steven sent out the dynamic influence session agenda. Accommodations on that one field trip you were gonna get back to us on. They weren't sure whether they were travel campaigns.
That particular trip was canceled.
Yeah. All right.
Dynamic there. Some of the schools will be in bus to.
Yeah.
Ann Roberts or Montgomery kind of thing.
Yeah.
What, like for the elementary schools, what, it's not the whole school being bused up, right?
So there's a grades 4 to 6.
Okay, that's right, okay.
Yeah, 4 to 6.
That's what I was
Seven
saying.
to 9.
Yeah, awesome.
Clarifying that. All right. Any other business arising? Okay, moving on then to the approval of the excerpts of the in-camera board meeting of February the 20th, which is page 13 in your package. Can I please get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Bill, seconded by Ida. Any errors or omissions? Calling the question then, all in favor?
In favor?
Thanks, Ida. All right, announcements and reminders. Thank you, Leah, for adding some. Head into April and May. In June, is there anything that we're missing?
I don't see it, but there he is.
6, sorry.
Yeah.
May 2nd? May 2nd is the spring band concert.
Thank you.
Oh, it's on there. It's on there.
It is in there.
She had found somebody else to go.
Northeast
Because it
Cultural
was
Center.
changed, if it was on the weekend, it wouldn't have been a problem, but.
You got somebody else coming for the CPAC meeting? 30?
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't the one that we had changed, is it?
Yeah, it is the one that we changed. We changed it from tomorrow to the 30th.
13. It's accurate here.
It's accurate
Yeah.
here. I forgot to wipe it out of my date book. All right. Any other changes to our, or additions to our announcements and reminders? We're going to move on then to the superintendent's report, and we're changing the order up a little bit there, and we're going to start with individuals sharing wonderful things with us, and I'll let Stephen speak to that.
Great, thanks, Ellen. Yeah, so we'll start with item number 2 under education for the superintendent's report. And I've asked Lori Petrucci and Jenna Andrews to come tonight. And they're going to do a bit of an introduction around AI from our local perspective. So Lori is sort of leading the process in SD60 around gathering information of what do people know about AI, how are they using it, and along with the provincial guidelines, we'll be establishing over the next year kind of a plan as to how we're dealing with AI. So if you don't mind introducing yourselves, and then I'll be your pointer. Just let me know when to move on to the next slide.
Absolutely. So Lori Patrici, District Vice Principal of Innovation and Technology. And I'm part of a committee in the district where we get together and have conversations on what is happening with AI. We had a showcase last week and we invited teachers who are currently using AI just to showcase what are you doing? And Jen came to the presentation and I was like, okay, Jen. Please join me because Jen comes from North Peace Secondary School. I'll let her introduce herself. But she's bringing practical applications so you can actually see how this affects learning in the classrooms.
So I'm Jennifer Andrews. I've been at North Peace Secondary since 1999. I'm teaching graphic design, animation, career, so CLE, and I did a bunch of CLC work as well.
So Jen's always at the cutting edge of technology. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, so AI is a disruptor. It's out there, not going away. So how do we embrace it and work with it? So it is a disruptor. And so I'm just going to show you about, so one of the disruptors in the past, of course, was film. And another disruptor, I'll let them press the play button for Peter Masbridge, and we'll just.
There's a revolution going on in rec rooms, offices, and classrooms around the world. A revolution in which 15 million people are taking part. They're sharing scientific data, arguing philosophy, or passing on cooking tips and gossip night and day through a computer network called Internet. For about $200 a year, they log on to personal.
Right. You know, it's part of our everyday life now. That was a disruptor. Okay. AI, of course, it's out there. AI is word of the year, Collins word of the year for 2023. Nothing was Googled more than AI. So people know about it. Yep. Thanks. Very next slide. So topics for today's presentation, we'll review what is AI, artificial intelligence, what is the province currently saying, what will be our approach in School District 60, and what are some of the operational and educational possibilities. I'm going to start with a few generic examples, and then Jen will move into more of an applied presentation. Okay, what is AI? And again, okay, so I Googled it, of course. What do we do when we want to know what something is? We Google it. So I Googled it through IBM. Funny sitting down for presentation. So what is generative AI? And generative, this is what we're presenting today. So generative AI refers to deep learning models that generate high quality text, images, and other content based on the data they were trained on. So that's the dictionary definition. Next, I thought it'd be way more fun if we actually ask AI, what are you? So I Googled, I didn't Google, I went into ChatGPT, which is the most well-known AI application. And I said, what is generative artificial intelligence? And the response, it was gold. So the next slide, this is what AI gave me. It said, well, we're designed to generate new data or content. It can do text generation, image generation, audio generation, and video generation. But the last paragraph is the most interesting. And I'm just going to read what I highlighted. It says, however, generative AI also raises ethical concerns. As generative AI technologies continue to advance, it becomes increasingly important to develop appropriate safeguards and ethical guidelines for their responsible deployment. So AI defines itself for me, and then it said, warning. This is a round conversation, and it's something that you have to be thoughtful about. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what is the province saying? With AI, things are hot off the press daily. Apps that came out 2 months ago will probably be obsolete in 6 months, right? So this is ever changing. This came out on Friday. According to the province, the integration of AI, when thoughtfully applied, has the potential to enrich our education system by streamlining administrative tasks, enhancing efficiency, and enabling a dedicated focus on student-centered activities, which aligns with our own committee's vision of how we're going the power of AI. Next slide, please. Those are just links. So if you'd like to know more directly from the province, there's 3 links. So it's basically support, consideration, and AI. Well, we are approaching School District 60 again. It aligns very closely with what came out on Friday at a provincial level. One of our main concerns as the technology department is a school district with students K through 12. Of course, it's protecting personal identifiable information. It's the privacy concern. There will always be privacy concerns with technology. You can't hide from them because we need the technology to support education and learning. You just have to work to ensure that you have the privacy controls in place so that we can use it thoughtfully and safely. So we ask when staff use AI to please not include personal information with the prompts, right? Because AI is all about prompts. Focus on using AI applications that support teaching and learning in a safe and thoughtful way. Teachers, when they see examples, love AI because they immediately can see practical application on how to streamline some of their processes. But again, you have to be thoughtful because AI isn't always accurate. They're called AI hallucinations. And AI hallucinations, AI will always give you a response. There is no such thing as AI saying, I don't know. If it doesn't know, it'll make it up. It'll take whatever data it has, put it together, and give you an answer. So as a professional, you have to understand that AI makes mistakes, and it's our duty and we need to be diligent and edit, looking for errors and accuracy. We also need to take an ethical approach. Often, not often, but sometimes the text or images that are generated by AI are reflective of the engineer who created it, right? So whatever the engineer used as a database to create their program, that could bias the text generated or the photos generated. So again, ethical approach is important. You might put stereotypes and bias. And also, AI will be significant to support inclusion. And Jen will give you an example on how to create a lesson in the classroom that provides differentiated reading text for our students at different reading levels. So lots of potential. Okay. What are some of the operational educational possibilities? Again, I'm just going to give you a brief overview and then Jen will get into the more applied. Okay, so because we're education, we're really looking for those AI applications that are developed for education, such as Magic School, EduAid, CurioPods, QuestionWell, Diffin, School AI. I'll give you examples for these, but they all serve different roles. So this, next slide. So this is my first activity using AI. I was thinking of doing an activity as an energizer at one of my workshops for grade 6 teachers. And I thought, story starters, but I can create story starters, but it takes time and energy. And so Bruce Wood, the technician, said, "Why don't you use ChatGPT?" And I said, of course I should use ChatGPT. So I put in the prompts were grade 6 fiction story starters. And this is what I got. Next slide. So this was generated through AI in 10 seconds. Of course, teachers can create this themselves, but that took me all of 1 minute, right? So it does save time in planning. Next slide, please. Magic School is probably my favorite, and it seems to be a favorite among mainly elementary teachers, I would say.
I was
Some-
playing with it.
Were you
today.
playing with it? Did you like it?
There's a lot of fun.
Okay, so we'll say K through 12. And it's very user-friendly, and it's really designed graphically and contextually for teachers. Okay, next. So Eduate, an example, creating analogies. These are what take teachers time, right? Let's create an analogy. Let's create a project. AI can support on that. Next. CurioPod, that's another popular one. ABC is the program they use with a lot, CurioPod. And again, how do I better engage with my students? And you can use AI to come up with activities. Drawing prompts, would you rather, exit tickets, activating prior knowledge, lots of good stuff. DFID, again, DFID, Jen will go into in more detail.
Sure. If you,
Oh, sure. I'll just
Sure,
finish
yeah.
this one and then I'm going to hand it over to you.
Oh,
I don't
perfect.
think there's anything left, actually. Can you go back and then I'll hand it over? You know what? We'll just and go. Yeah, I'm going to end here and I'm going to hand it over to Jen, and she's going to talk about the.
So Divot, it allows teachers to link a video or a news article, a website, and it can customize a lesson for you. So it'll give you can adjust the reading level if something seems too difficult. So I was experimenting with adjusting it more to grade 9 reading level for my grade 11 and 12s. But then you can also generate open-ended questions, close-ended questions, multiple choice questions based on whatever it is. If you click on that link that's just embedded in there. Yeah, if you click on that, this just shows you an example. I teach an animation class, so I had found an article on copyright and Mickey Mouse. So it created this entire document. So here's relevant terms, and then if you scroll down, it has the article, one scrolling.
How many prompts did you use?
I just said, here's the link.
Wow, very good.
I use it as my example. I think I added to the North Peace Secondary how to use as teachers. Like, here's an interesting resource teachers can use. And anyway, here's 3 prompts for the summary. Here's some questions, and then if you scroll down, those are just the multiple choice questions. Some short answer questions. So it was very fast to create this. Like, if I needed a TOC to cover a lesson or something like that, I personally didn't end up using that class because I had a different format for how I approach history and relevant topics, but it was a super useful resource that I shared with the teachers. Then if we
Can I
want to,
add to that?
yeah.
And I won't use names, I don't have permission, but one administrator, when TOCs come and there's no lesson plan, he'll just go in, put in the prompts, they'll spit out an entire lesson plan for that TOC. So it's streamlined.
Are we asking questions as it goes?
I was thinking about that. Do you want us to pause
We'll
that
maybe
question?
normally we finish the presentation and then if it's okay with the chair, we'll pause after that for questions before I continue on with the superintendent report.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That's just my question. Well, Kahoot, you can just skip through that quickly. School AI is similar to ChatGPT. Again, the focus is on educational purposes. And then this is all Jen. So
Yes.
if you just click on the link.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is what I had prepared last week for the other presentation. So anyway, I've been using it a lot myself just for my lessons plans, and I've been basically using it as an assistant. So for example, I have a paragraph up at the front just as a media release, but I'm kind of abrupt in my writing. I like to shorten things as much as possible. So I asked ChatGPT to help me with my writing. Here's my paragraph. Can you make it better? And then this is what it spit out underneath. I personally didn't really like it. I don't like the extra flowery adjectives and everything like that. But it was like one of my first attempts at using ChatGPT. Click. I will use it for changing reading levels. So in this case, I was working on the core competencies. All the schools have to get the students to self-report on the core competencies. So I'm trying to simplify the language, because I was just taking what was on the government website and asking it to reword some of the language. So that did it for me. Go next again. Sometimes I can just ask it really quick questions. So if I forget certain terms, I will ask it, in this case, talking about resumes. I have a kid who was like, well, my only experience is every once in a while I hand out flyers. Well, I asked ChatGPT, what can I call that job? So you're a promotional staff, flyer distributor, brand ambassador, like, so useful. And next, I'm currently using it a lot just to help me learn how to better manipulate spreadsheets. I was spending a lot of time just going online and finding video tutorials and choosing different forums, or like, how do I create a formula for such and such a thing? I've stopped all of that, and now I just go to ChatGPT, because I can ask it whatever I want. It gives me the right answer the first time. If there's anything that is too difficult, I can ask it, is there another way to do this task? So in one of the questions I was asking it, I was able to get it to give me an array, search through information using an array instead of an alternate method that I wasn't familiar with. Next.
Can I just add something to that? You can have a dialogue with AI, right? After the first response, you can respond and say what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
And continue, simplify, or make it more sophisticated. It's an ongoing dialogue.
And the good thing about the dialogue, I can be like a month or more not using ChatGPT, but when I log back in, it has some of my previous dialogues. So if I go back into my earlier ones, it has all those earlier prompts already there. So it was already familiar with the fact that I am looking at spreadsheets. And so I can just pick up where I left off and say, I need to update my spreadsheet. Here's the thing I need to change. I don't have to re-explain it with all the earlier prompts. Here is ChatGPT teaching me how to use Google Scripts. It's something I've never used before. It's basically coding. It's using JavaScript. I want to find a way to give my students, a large group of students, Google quizzes, and then based on their scores in Google, based on their scores, if they receive a high score on 4 quizzes, then give them a unit test. But I want it to be done for a large group of kids. I can handle it if it's just like 30, but if it's 100 kids, I can't like manually forward email. So ChatGPT is walking me through how to set this up.
Can I add to this? Yeah. And Jen's presentation, her use of AI is simply from a teacher perspective. This year, AI is so new. All of us, we're still scratching the surface of how to use it as an educator. So her examples are not student activities. They are strictly from a teacher perspective to help plan, streamline, and so forth.
To see what's possible before I go and give it to my students. And I have some thoughts and opinions on all of that too. But here I am using it to ensure that my former BA course in Animation 11, I'm switching it up so that it's actually following the visual arts, media arts. So I give it my course outline, my learning outcomes, and so where does this align, what do I change? So this was a long conversation with ChatGPT, but we were able to work out all the ways that my course can be modified and changed. And this is where it all fits in. Yeah. So for example, so here's me giving just a description of my daily drawing activity. And so then it's aligned. These are all the different ways that this drawing activity lines up to what the current learning outcomes are for visual arts course. Yes, it does work.
And we can also, Jen's giving you examples from a teacher perspective. But on an operational side, these same tasks, there is transfer over. Right? There's a lot of administrative tasks, such as going to ChatGPT for those instructions on its own. Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Accountant,
It's just saving so much time. Like
Saving
sometimes sitting down and like trying to write something out by scratch, it takes me get into the right headspace, write down all my thoughts and everything. It takes a while. These ones are Kim's notes when we were talking about how the ways that she's using ChatGPT. She started earlier than I did. I had a hard time getting it to log in and get my account set up. So she's been using it a lot for art. So she uses it to help correct her grammar. She's been asking it, in this case, she has a student with sensory issues in her ceramics class. So what are some other sculpture projects that she's giving other than clay? And so it has no problem. Here's some alternatives. She's used it to, which one is this one? She has the skills that she's taught, she's describing it up at the top. And now in this case, she's asking it different ways that the kids can connect some creative themes to the project after that for their final project. So using saving time for all of us. Same sort of concepts, yeah. It was able to create, here's like an 18-week plan. She was converting a course, a former BAA course again to match the printmaking course that's available on the curriculum website. So she's making sure that this course all aligns.
Examples?
Yeah, this is all
Yeah,
examples.
We don't have to go through each.
No, we don't. But it's just a great
Would you
example.
rather questions, worksheet, so she uses it to ask the questions and then she'll take what it gives her and she develops the worksheet in Canva instead. But she gets the questions from ChatGPT. This project,
Can I add something?
yes.
This will probably be the last, I know Jen showed us this, a last example. This one, Angela asked me before the presentation, she said, AI is a little scary because we don't know what's real anymore. It's with images. And I said, well, Jen will show you some examples that there's clues. But again, I mean, we've always had Photoshop. We've had lots of different technology in the past. Again, we have to be critical thinkers and learn to assess what we're looking at. So
Yes, and in that respect too, like every once in a while, if I see something in the news, I will show it to the kids and just talk about it in class. So I had found an article that was at a pixel. It's not up there right now, but it was
go back to the last one.
yeah. But it was just showing you portraits, which one, and it compares like which portrait is computer generated and which one is a real portrait. So the kids and I sit down and have a discussion and we scroll through. So we're having these discussions, but I'm not having them use it yet. This is Kim had access, so she paid for one of the art ones. A lot of times if you want to generate art, you have to pay for ChatGPT. So she's been experimenting with that. So she was experimenting with creating coloring pages. So she didn't have the kids create the coloring pages. These are just her prompts. And so if you scroll, can you click to the link to examples? These are the different images. Yeah.
They're funny.
But as you scroll through, you begin to notice breaks.
Right, you can see that like some head without a body.
Eyes are not pointing in any particular direction. Details disappear or blend into the background. The thick and the thin lines like become really confusing. So she's using these coloring pages as practice doing shading with different material. So the kids can then just naturally have conversations around what makes this. What are the identifying marks that this is actually generated by AI?
So this is an opportunity to share with you where we're at with the district, where we are with teachers, not all teachers, early adopters for sure. And we are taking a collaborative approach and trying to encourage using it as safely, thoughtfully as possible. Any questions?
Yeah, we'll pause there then. Yes.
I love talking about nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
Favorite time. Start with my one question. Did it format that question like exactly how it was formatted on?
I spent all of 2 minutes on that worksheet because that was just my example worksheet. So I did not invest any time to that.
So very similar.
I just found a news article, fed it in, and that's what it popped out with.
That's really cool. ChatGPT is very limited on how it
Yeah.
does stuff, so that's really cool.
I was experimenting with the school, Magic School today. And so I have some, I'm able to take some Google slides that I created, so as a PDF, upload that PDF into one of the options. It'll read all the slides and then generate multiple choice questions. And so I want 10 multiple choice questions based on up to 20. It then asks me how I want to save it, and one of my options is I can save it as a Google quiz. And it formats it, but like,
But again,
I
this
just
is at
saved a
the
lot.
secondary level.
made me so happy.
So, different practice, different applications at the elementary. From a senior perspective, it works for both.
Like, it would make it so much faster for our spell activities. We just need to review what we talked about yesterday. I can take my notes from yesterday, feed it into this, and within seconds, have the starter quiz. That would have taken me, an hour to set up each quiz before. Now it's actually a 5-minute task for everybody involved. So,
People.
Yeah, sorry.
Just so, yeah.
that's exciting.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. Is there any way that we can have a copy of what they?
Yeah, in fact, I've already asked Leah to forward all
Thank you,
these
thank you.
to
Yes.
trustees, and,
Yeah.
we're trying to balance between, we've had some provincial broad presentations to really what's kind of happening around the district, but, there's so many examples. We're
So many.
just getting started on it.
Just teachers getting used to it and seeing the possibilities before.
Could we have a second presentation this time next year, see where you're going with it? And
Great idea.
it's
Yeah, sure.
really important.
I like the pitch you guys are throwing at us, saying like, here's how the teachers can use it.
Yeah.
Here's how the staff can use it, kind of thing.
For sure, and that's where we're starting. That's we're grounding with the teacher tool, and then we'll work up.
I mean, unfortunately, we have, numerous people right now that need as much help as they can get. And stuff like this will just help them.
And even master teachers, because we have master teachers who know.
Okay, I didn't mean it.
But no, even
Yeah.
because they'll say, and that will save me, because they know how to do it. But to do something in 5 minutes where it used to take them 30, they're all over it. Especially
They're
with
used
the-
to the
especially with
pencil and
development.
pen.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes is being generous.
Yeah, and rubric creation is another one, because rubric creation is probably one of the most taxing activities to do, and basically it's differentiating a learning task, and you can get support. Magic School AI is especially good. Sorry, I want to take up too much
I
time.
don't want to step on any of,
You can go ahead. You can ask a question.
I didn't want to step on any of the excitement, but you had a whole list of programs there.
Yeah.
What is open source and what is the cost of some of these tools at this point?
For sure. Open source is ChatGPT. Magic School AI, you can get it, the free version, but as soon as I put it in project-based learning, and it'll give a very generic outline. And then at the bottom, it says, a subscription will actually give you learning tasks.
How much is the cost for
And
that?
the cost is $8 a month. Because Glenn Longley, he has the paid version and he's good. So $8 a month for Magic School AI. And if I was going to platform, through ChatGPT, which is open source, Magic School, which can be free, but the paid version, $8 a month is worth it. And then Diffit, right? Because Diffit's inclusion, Magic School is a teacher tool, and ChatGPT is generic.
Magic School might do the same thing as Divot. There, I did notice some similarities, so I'd hold off on doing it for now.
Okay.
Magic School also has like a district. You have the district pricing, but you have to contact for that.
And I have a PIA Magic.
Okay.
That's what is it?
Oh, PIA is a privacy impact assessment. With any new initiative application, you do need a privacy impact assessment, and I do have one done for Magic School AI. Good. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more question. First off, I love that it's gonna give you guys a little bit of time back. I use it sometimes when I need to reword an email and stuff like that. It saves me hours. Is there a plan to get this out to the teachers on an ongoing basis over the next year or two?
Yeah, so I can just answer that if I can. We've just received the kind of overarching framework or guidelines from the province. I'll forward that all to you as well. And over the course of the next year, as you've kind of asked for, is to kind of get that very sense. What we need to vet, we need to have the early adopters check some things out. We need to make sure some of those ethical pieces that have been mentioned are covered. As Helen pointed out, we need to look at what might be the implication around the cost of some of those subscriptions. But, and in addition, Angela will be interested on the operational side, you know, around some of these. So the plan is over the course of the coming year, to be honest, as the whole province looks at this, develop what is the best uses, what is not the best uses, and some recommendations to go on.
If you go back to the report that I brought back from the partner liaison meeting, there are some overall provincial things and guidelines and ethics and things
Yeah.
coming that were in that report.
For sure. And with the technology, there's generally, when new technology becomes available, you have an early adoption. Those who are willing to work through the kinks and play with it. And then you have the others who have seen what's happening and have become comfortable with it, adopt and so forth. Right now we're at early adoption. We've got Jen playing with it. We've got some key administrators playing with it. So we have a committee who is grounded. I would say the capacity for using AI is quite high in our district in terms of this committee. So we are starting from a good place and we can only grow capacity.
I've added some slides just at the end of my presentation on where I'm turning to learn more about ethics and all this.
That was an important part of it. Listen, thank you so much for coming in, and it sounds like we'll get some more information as we go along. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thanks for leading the charge.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, we can, as an
Yeah.
agenda setting, take a look at that next spring, absolutely. Helen, I'll continue.
Yeah.
And back to item number one, or sorry, number one is human resources summary report. Item number two is my online report. Under intellectual development, I just wanted to give the trustees a head up. I'm not sure if you've heard about this one, where all of the school psychologists across BC, and this is something they've been asking for, are now going to be moving to the College of Psychologists of British Columbia. They'll essentially be licensed like private practitioners as private psychologists. And they're happy about the sort of the stature and the implications and the guidelines and the support that means. However, I do need to tell you that there will be some implications in our school systems across the province where in the past, the school psych was able to go to a school, for example, talk about some students as they went through their triage of which students should be recommended for assessment if they're having learning difficulties. They can no longer do that. They cannot talk about students until the parents have signed consent, and it's a fairly robust consent. So there will be some procedural pieces at the school level. We feel like with the school team, it doesn't always have to be the principal and vice principal, but that level of consent will now need to happen before the school site can even see the student's name. And Sam at our district, she is working with her colleagues in Prince George and across BC, and she's developed some new permission forms and processes that she has outlined with our administrator. So more to come on that. And just for interest's sake, I've included some information for trustees and the public around the difference between a psychoeducational assessment and a consultation. And the left-hand side where it's shaded in green, that is the main difference between the two. Under human and social development, just excited that even with a very warm and unpredictable winter, we still did have a couple of classes benefit from the affordability fund to take place in some learning how to ski, cross-country skiing at the Beaton Park, which was nice there. And so Peace River North Festival was just wrapped up. Our bands did incredibly well again, golds across our groups, and they're looking also forward to participating in some aspects of the provincial festival as well. Under careers and skill development, for our Youth Work and Trades Award, Bill sort of alluded to this, but we actually had some students you can read through here. I was at one of the Czech presentations, but there are 4 here. Logan Osterlund, Clayton Fair, Emma Chenier, and Josiah Vaccaro, who received that $1,000 back in terms of the tuition after completing their programs. And we were out at the on-site to do that. That was very exciting. Over the course of spring break, SD60 supported a Women in Trades camp. It was free for 16 girls at the grade 5 level. Very lots of interest in this. And Brian Campbell, along with Griff Peets, provided the location. Monica Conway joined them for the week, and with Construction BC, they supplied everything. The kids got all the safety materials. They built greenhouses. They cut pipe, and got a certificate at the end. It was so successful that they're planning on holding it again next year if they can. And a shout out to Duck and Cran for supporting that. Under operations and HR, just wanted to point out some of the professional development that also comes through CUPE in terms of the support staff in this particular piece around inclusive education and behavior. And there are courses provided to CUPE members who want to sign up first. And that we have something. Truth and Reconciliation, again, thank you to Thomas and the Doig River First Nation around the language, the first annual Reawakening Our Language Conference. Myself as well as other staff members attended it, and it was fantastic to connect with our own team as well as with the teams from around the region. They had a guest speaker, Christopher Parkin, from the Salish Territory of Spokane, some amazing examples of how they have reawakened the language, but a key aspect of it was working with the local First Nations committee around getting some of the adults involved and then bringing the kids in after that. And finally, just some Take 3 celebrations. Here's some examples at Maw Murray, where a couple of teachers have gotten together to use what we call spaces. And it's a bit of a communication tool with parents, as well as an assessment tool to capture some of the learning of the students. And we're going to hear more about that as we go on into next year as well. Here, the next one is North Peace. I think you may have heard that the robotics team has won again regionally, and they will be going to provincials. And we'll be happy to report back to you. And as suggested, try and get those actual students to come and present to the board their experience. And so I believe that's 3 years in a row. They came in 5th the last 2 times. 11 teams. And finally, around learning services, 2 of our high school students, Summer Fraser and Irina Fendel, attended the Banfield Marine Science Center camp for the visually impaired. And this presentation, which you can look through, gives you a sense of the really neat experience some of our visually impaired students were able to benefit from. That is my online report. I have items to break out on out-of-district field trips, community coaches. I provided information under governance from the ministry simply around the code of conduct, which we'll be looking at the following meeting as well. And the final item is just to share with trustees and the public some of the proactive work that we've been doing in preparation for the wildfire season. We all understand that this is likely an annual event. And in March, I brought together representatives from the PRRD, from all 3 municipalities, the fire chiefs from the various areas, and we had an excellent meeting around what we need for the communication chain, how we can embed some of our district staff into the EOCs, those emergency operation centers, and the calls. And we've committed to some actions to work together on for the years to come, including a bit of a partnership each year to get together. So really excited about finally getting to some of those aspects that we really felt were missing last year during the wildfire season. And that is my report.
Okay. can I please, we will pull out information in regards to district, out of district field trips, community coaches. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by David, seconded by Thomas. And now we'll go through Stephen's report item by item and see. We'll start with, are there any questions related to the human resources summary report?
Yeah. Just want to know kind of how it's going. We are we filling stuff for if stuff's on here?
Yeah.
We assume that it's still vacant, it's still available. Are they getting filled?
Yeah, as always, as you know, Bill, each year at this time, we have all of these postings that go out. Many of them are for positions where they're already in them, but they're temporary, so they need to be posted again. The good news is that our rural schools are in much better position than they have been in a long time, particularly upper halfway and 101. So we're quite excited, and Presbyterian for that matter. In fact, Presbyterian has not seen near the amount of turnover that we've seen in the past. For rural schools, it's actually looking pretty good right now. And exactly, and we're seeing how the rest of the urban and in-town positions fill up, most of which the applicants are currently with us. So it's looking a little bit better, but the incentives definitely help with the rural posting.
Are we getting people from outside coming
It's
in?
a mix.
Or are we just recycling the same people from school to school kind of thing?
For the rural positions, we've had quite a few come from out of province,
Or out of district at least?
out of district.
Yeah, I mean, we just new people.
Correct. I see what you're saying. New to the district,
Right, so we're not just moving somebody from, from
creating more holes and.
From Finch to Ambrose kind of thing. And
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, the electronic report. How much funding have we used from district affordability committees into the transportation, for things like, I know,
Dynamic influence, yes.
what about the provincial arts festival?
It's a prime example of whenever these things are going on, and it's not like there's a massive pot there, but it's being able to support, especially schools around transportation costs for any of these, and that's how we've been redirecting it, in addition to individual student scenarios that come up that are quite expensive, that affect their participation in school.
Okay. Do you know if the QB course helps those individuals at all that are doing EA work through Northern Lights? Is there an alignment at all with their courses yet?
There can be. This particular one was more of a broader QP organized course around behavior. But yes, to answer your question, there are often courses both offered locally here with Keith and the district, as well as the college, that are in the line. Yeah, around behavior specifically, actually.
I just wanted to touch on the truth and reconciliation, the gathering. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The school district really showed up in force. It was great to have them out there. We had 200 people all talking about revitalization of language. So
yeah,
thank you to the team for coming out. It was an amazing day.
Yeah, I know.
All right, we'll come back to out of district field trips and community coaches. Changes to code of conduct to address cell phone restrictions. There's an attachment to the agenda, and it does mean that later on, there will be one policy we're not bringing forward because we had developed the policy and now the guidelines are here. And so will impact a little bit later on. don't know. I've read it, but I haven't looked at all the different links and things on it. If probably an interesting read. Wildfire emergency planning, emergency preparedness guide for guardians. This document was brought forward at the Health and Safety Committee meeting. I did certainly thank our staff for the work on it, and we talked about the need to probably put it out. We're putting it out now, but put it out again in the fall 2 or 3 times, just so that people are seeing it and are aware of it and what's going on with it. So that got, and in your notes, in the groups that you met with, Stephen,
Yeah.
I didn't see Hudson Hope there. So
If that's in this, they were there.
were they,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Hudson Soap. Let me just double check here.
It could be I missed it.
No, that's what you probably didn't. And let's see here now. Here we go. Fred Burrows, District of Hudson Soap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think of him with Fort St. John.
Yeah, he actually is officially looking after the Hudson Soap Fire Center there
Okay, all right.
in his semi-retirement.
All right.
Sorry, one more piece on the fire emergency planning too is just that, so we've also said, we've been trying to be proactive, sending all this information out to parents, to staff, including HR processes, talking about our HVAC systems, how they work, and trying to get ahead of what we know can be a challenging time for everyone, because it's not just about the wildfires and evacuation, it's also about the smoke. And so that information is being sent out through HR to all staff, as well as our facility capabilities.
We, I believe, got a copy of it as well. Any other questions related to wildfire emergency planning?
I'm just glad to see they're actually having the conversation and willing to engage.
We sure are.
Right. Let's take a look at out of district field trips. They please have someone make the motion that the Board of Education approve the out of district field trips as presented.
I'm just gonna pull them up here again.
Pardon?
I had to pull them up.
Okay. Moved by Thomas. Seconded by Nicole. Thank you. All right, discussion. The new trip, these guys got more credentials. I'm like, holy crap, put everything in there. So
If I can briefly speak to the canoe trip, because of the nature of this trip, I went and met with the principal and teacher and asked them to go through everything with me on this trip. I also phoned SPB, School Protections Branch, around just sharing that information with them and getting a second opinion on the preparation of the trip, and everything seems in order. So I did a bit of extra follow-up on this because it's a trip on the water.
Which school that?
North Peace for their canoe trip. And so I can confirm that every kind of emergency preparation that should be done is being done for this trip.
I've seen advertisements about this one. The international one.
No,
No, I'm talking about the canoe.
No, on the,
Sorry.
on the European 2025 International Field Study.
it's not the one you've seen advertising on. There's
No.
somebody that is
That's what I was gonna say, if it's the
is
same one.
choosing to organize something through one of the EF tours. And I sort of preempted and asked some questions, and I'll let Stephen explain to you what's gone on with this one.
Yeah, sure, sorry.
Yeah.
As you recall, the board passed a new policy last year on international trips. And that included, and I believe I shared with trustees, a very robust procedural guide that needs to be followed whenever a group is considering an international trip. So that's now the new process. It has to be approved by the principal and it has to be approved by Brian Campbell, and it has to involve every student in a course. They all have to be able to go. You will recall that that was not the case with companies like EF Tours, who it was just who can pay, as well as offering incentives to teachers that which really kind of misrepresented the purpose of the trip. This particular one that is being proposed has gone through the procedural guide. The teacher, the principal have approved it, Brian Campbell has approved it, and all of these students going are enrolled in a course that they will get credit for and they'll have to report on. So that's kind of the main difference between this and some of the other trips that occurred in the past.
And I asked about the background of the company that's doing it. It's not one that I know if it's been vetted, and my understanding was that it has.
And we rely on the principal and Mr. Campbell now to go through all of that before they bring it forward to the board.
Is it on it? Want to go through here? Is it on here? Who's going with them?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Carter Merwin, Alyssa Ware, Matthew Lord.
That's bottom somewhere.
No, it's right up in the top. Europe 2025 International Field Study. Chaperones are there.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Any other questions for me?
Any other questions or discussion related to the out of district field trips, sports and or otherwise? Okay, then, there isn't any further discussion following the question on that. All in favor of the motion to
In favor.
filter? The motion is carried. Community coaches. How many coaches does the rugby team need? Can I please have somebody make the motion that the Board of Education approve the community coaches? Moved by David, seconded by Thomas. Any questions? Leah, in the agenda package, we need to change the wording there. We've got district field trips place. The motion in the agenda is not, the second one needs to read community coaches. We got a mover and a seconder. And if I don't remember to tell you that right now, I won't remember to do it. Any discussion? Seeing none, calling the question, all in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. That, I believe, concludes Stephen's report, and we're on to Angela.
Thank you. So my report consists of the finance update up to March 31st, 2024. Some information regarding our closure over the summer, the QP Human Resource summary for the period March 7th to April 17th, and some exciting news around hiring of an accounting manager last week. So that is my report.
Much. Could I please get a mover and a seconder for Angela's report? Moved by Bill, seconded by Thomas. Discussion. Finance, we'll start with the finance update to March 31st. Any questions? I wondered about the educational assistant, and you should be at approximately 70%. is a matter of hiring, not having people to fill those positions, or what's contributing to that lower amount there?
But, so in this is, which when I'm doing my budgeting, I do try to account for it, but we have spring break makeup time and we have vacation because we had the 2-week spring break closure there. So if there had been vacation used or people opted not to do spring break makeup, then we wouldn't be paying them full salaries during that 2-week closure. So I believe that is, attributing to that decrease in, because we only had we had the, we didn't have full pay period for some during that period of time. It is quite off, but, we have to budget. We don't know, some years it's fully attended during that 2 weeks. People are opting for the spring break, but we're seeing less traction there, as well as people are using vacation at other times during, except for December.
Any other questions related to the financial update? Okay. HR support staff summary. Any questions there? Did you have a question, David? All right, accounting manager appointment. Any questions there?
Information.
You could.
Name,
Yes,
and then I'll
please.
bring him to a
Yes,
committee
please.
of the whole. His name is, he goes by Shola Adewale. He comes from industry. And he has been here for a week and 1 day. And we are trying to give him information at a slow pace so that, you know, he loves public sector accounting and he will stay with me long term. So, so far he seems to be a good fit, and I will bring him to a committee of the whole to introduce him to everyone.
If he comes from industry, he must be used to drinking through a fire hose. Like, the minute you get in, you're just right in there.
Yes, well, different systems for sure. Yes, but so I'm happy to have some additional help. Obviously, public sector is a little different than industry, so there'll be a learning curve there, but.
Exciting.
Right, thank you. All right, calling the question in relationship to Angela's report. All in favor?
In favor.
Carried. Right. Moving on. So moving on to the reports of the regular committee of the whole meeting, April 8th, which is page 17 to 19 in your package. Give you a minute to look at the minutes from there. Can I please get a mover and a seconder? Moved by the Mighty Bell, seconded by Ida. Any errors or omissions? Thank you to Angela for getting us all that information out with the motions at AGM. Any further discussion? All in question then, all in favor?
In favor.
It's carried. All right, moving on then to policy committee.
Don't have any feedback for
I was just
one
gonna
or
say,
second motion or seconds on it to bring it forward.
all right, so the first policy that we're taking a look at is policy 8001.2, the accumulated operating surplus. It was moved by Madeline, and I need a seconder for it. Seconded by Thomas. Any further discussion on that policy? Right?
Sorry, what, there's something like that?
Just feedback, just changing distributed learning.
Oh, to online learning. Yeah.
You can make those minor revisions.
Thank you.
All right. Calling the question then on that policy, all in favor?
In favor.
Moving on to the privacy policy, policy 7019. It was moved initially by Thomas. I need a seconder, please. Seconded by David. And there was no feedback, so any further discussion? Calling the question then, all in favor?
In favor.
Was there nothing on the fundraising policy? Did you get anything back on the fundraising policy? I'm sure that was going to capture some interest. All right. So our fundraising policy 8003, fundraising for curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular. Initially moved by David. I need a seconder for that, please. Seconded by Thomas. And the board will adopt policy 8003, fundraising, curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular. Any further discussion? None. Calling the question then, all in favor?
In favor.
Right, policy 2006, discrimination, assault, bullying, and harassment prevention, district student code of conduct. That is going to be referred to our next meeting, policy committee meeting, to be brought back because we have to pull in the information that just came to us from the province.
Thank you.
So policy 2009, student conduct committee. Could I please have someone move that the notice of motion be issued for policy 2009 student conduct committee? Moved by Bill. That will now go out. Thank you. Looking now at policy 1008, could I please have somebody move that the notice of motion be issued for policy 1008 trustee indemnity? Moved by David. Policy 4001, I'm looking for a notice of motion to be issued. This policy, acceptable internet use and digital citizenship. All hands are pointing to Thomas and he's ignoring them. Sorry, Ida, we're gonna put you down. You had your hand up. Campbell. All right. Policy 2014 restrictions on student use of personal internet connected devices. notice of motion for that policy. Could I please have a mover? Moved by David. Right, so things going out for notice of motion. Moving on to other reports, BCSTA, Trustee Campbell.
No report. Provincial Council had their meeting and the budget was approved and they appointed an auditor for 3 years.
Thank you. Great. And for those of us that were at AGM, and the handouts and things should go up, we'll put AGM report out on our next agenda because we all only got back over the weekend, and having a report ready for today's meeting was too much. So we'll move forward with that for next time. All right. BCPC, we were going to talk about those things. Okay, thank you. Right? Board Pro D, could I please, the CSBA conference, could I please have someone make the motion that we approve Trustee Gillis's registration for the 2004 CSBA conference? Moved by Bill, seconded by Thomas.
I'm assuming that's a 2024.
That's 2004.
Did I? 2024, okay, I'm just 20
You're
years
late.
behind. 20 years behind, yes, okay. Thank you for keeping me honest. Any discussion? We expect a robust report, Nicole. All right, calling the question. All in favor?
In favor.
All right.
You will get a robust report because it's not cheap to send me there. So I will be engaged and paying attention to make sure this is worth it.
Okay, sounds good. I don't have anything.
Also have some fun.
Yeah, we want you to have some fun too. All right, so moving on, I don't have any correspondence. Angela's up.
So you may recall that we generally make our motion to accept the minor capital program for 2024-25 back in September. But we have an addition to what was originally proposed because for our 2023-24 minor capital submission, the HVAC controls, there was a bit of an issue with the HVAC controls for Central and Duncan Cran because it was partially funded by the federal government. So now, and their timeline was different than the ministries and there was some communication issues there. So we didn't get those projects done. So the Ministry of Education has proposed an amendment to our 24-25 minor capital submission with the change to the HVAC upgrades for both Central and Robert Ogilvie. And we are requesting and they are granting total funding of $282,000 to go towards this project. And then the remainder will come out of our 2024-25 AFG. So we've worked with them to come up with a plan to get those projects done. But now I need a motion to accept a new 2024-25 minor capital plan as proposed and amended.
Would someone like to move that the 2024-2025 minor capital plan be amended and adopted as presented? Looking for a mover. Moved by Ida. Now I'm looking for a seconder. Seconded by David. Discussion. So I noticed that we're putting this, charging it out of the carbon neutral program.
Mm-hmm.
So what will it do that helps with carbon neutrality? What we're doing to the HVAC?
I think HVACs fall under the carbon neutral program. And so that's why it went there.
Okay. All right.
Is there any kind of time frame when they're gonna?
Yeah, it will be April 1st, 2024, and we have till March 31st, 2025. So we're already behind.
Thomas?
Do we expect any impact to the students being able to go into school and all that kind of stuff while the systems are down?
Hopefully that's the issue of what happened last year. So we generally, it was the timing of it. They wanted it all finished by December 31st, and we can't get any HVAC upgrades done when it is not next weather. So the plan, and then it was kind of a scenario of everything that could happen with these projects and delay them happened. And now they have all the groundwork's been laid and the equipment's been ordered, so it should be done this.
Go ahead. There's no problem getting the software published to use.
No,
Remember
they,
this Honeywell, and they were just a nightmare to deal with.
and that's what they're hoping to transition.
Okay.
And I believe they've already, all the engineering's been done, and now they've ordered the parts, because they've told us this is a go-ahead, about a month ago, so we could proceed with ordering, I guess. Assuming you trust.
Assuming.
So thank you very much.
If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor?
In favor?
Your question was exactly what is in there.
Unfinished business, strategic planning, or what we heard report has been disseminated. And now we will be working on the strategic plan. Northeast Roundtable follow-up. I gave you a brief report and then highlighted a section of the meeting notes related to treaty land entitlement that was most relevant to us. If there's any questions related to that report, I'm happy to take them. A very slow process. All right. We don't have anything under new business, so time to hear from Michelle.
Don't have too much. I just want to make sure trustees know that they are also invited to the Indigenous Learning Day. That's happening May 10th, and so the registration will be going out soon. So I hope that you receive it from Charmaine or Pat, but I think that they're going to ask Sharon to send it out because it's kind of for everybody. But just know that you are invited as well, trustees. We'd love to have you attend. And I won't say much more than that.
Okay.
We met today, but it's going to be a totally land-based and an amazing day for everybody in Peace River North. Thanks.
I'll be there.
Yes, I'll be there. I'll be at Doig.
All right. We don't have Kirby or Deepak here. Time for questions from the press and or public related to our agenda.
Just inquiring about treaty land and entitlement. I'm not.
Our Cameron Lake Outdoor Ed site is part of the treaty land entitlement for Moberly Lake.
Okay.
And so we have authorization from the Crown to use the site for 31 years, and the Crown, BC government has been our landlord. With treaty land entitlement, that portion of land is going to be moved to Moberly Lake. Sometimes it's on reserve, sometimes there's about 3 different levels, but they may become our landlord. And so the Ministry of Indigenous Relationships will work with us and then with Canada, and we'll set up an agreement eventually for the transfer of Cameron Lake to Moberly, with us hopefully still having all the same kinds of favorable agreement we have for using the site. Okay, thank you.
Did you need a name? You're okay.
Any other questions? No? All right, so I'll ask for a motion to suspend the regular meeting and move into camera. Moved by David, seconded by Bill. All in favor? Could I please get someone to make the motion that our in-camera motions are brought forward for implementation? Thomas and David. All in favor?
In favor?
And can I get a motion to adjourn? Okay, we'll put Bill in and David.
I was pointing up at the screen.
Oh. Okay. All in favor?
In favor?